Hello and welcome to episode 42. We totally didn't just restart this. Brooklyn Bridge Bridges is the episode title. My name is Harry. I've got Ben in the studio with me. My God. I should make you do the intros. Maybe next week. Maybe next week you can be the intro guy.
I'll give it a go next time. Yeah, we'll see. Because we're professional. We get a first take. This is definitely not a retake.
This is definitely the first take, not to be confused with the other first take. We're the better first take.
Oh, we have better takes.
Sorry, I just saw I'm going to completely derail things now because this is what we do on podcasts. Did you see the clip? I don't know who this guy is, but there's this guy that comes on first take that absolutely just annoys JJ Redick.
Pretty much just there to like rile him up more or less. Yeah,
it's this old guy. I don't know who he is, but he's like been on there for like years. And I just saw a clip today of him trying to tell JJ Redick that Larry Bird was a better 3-point shooter than everyone else. Like, and JJ Redick is just like, you look at the stats, like Stephen Curry has more more shots, more makes, better percentages, and this guy's like, no, you gotta watch the 80s. You gotta be there and watch it on the court, man. It's not the same, the physicality. And then JJ's like, have you seen what they do off ball to Stephen Curry before he gets there? And he's like, no, man, that doesn't count. The refs are always looking out for Stephen Curry. And JJ Redick, like, you can see JJ Redick like actually being like, bro, I'm going to wreck you.
Dude, DeMarcus Cousins hit more 3-pointers than Larry Bird did in any season in his career.
Look, Larry Bird is a legend.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
But
absolutely incredible player.
You can't say that he, like, back in the day, I'm sure he was an amazing 3-point shooter, but you cannot say now, like, compared to today's standards that, well, I guess just statistically, you can't, there's no, like, there are bazillions of people now that have got a better 3-point percentage than Larry Bird.
Part of it was that they didn't take the number of 3-pointers, not even close to what we do now.
No.
But even in today's league, I think he'd be a decent shooter, but he wouldn't be... We've got some crazy shooters in the game right now.
It's very different. And like the amount of space that the players had in the 80s to shoot versus now as well.
They just didn't take that many people, didn't guard him as much on the perimeter.
Steph makes shots with like a hand like on his face.
Yeah, he's pretty much like got someone putting fingers up his nose and he's still hitting the shot. So
like we practice, like we've been like a little bit before our games when we play. Like I've been trying to like put my hand close to you and it like completely throws you off.
Oh yeah. It's
we'll learn. We'll get better. I'm not sorry. I'm not trying to like embarrass you on the global stage.
Just like absolutely throwing shade at my game right now.
No. But like it's
space makes a big difference.
Space makes a difference, and like these NBA players are like used to like making shots with like a finger's width of space. Like,
it's insane. Literally, like an open shot in quotation marks in the league right now is having someone's hand more or less in your face. It's only a contested when they're like hitting you in the face more or less.
It's just like, so wild.
They operate with such little margin, so it's insane. The shooting's much
crazy.
Better now.
One day we'll be good. One day we'll get that there when work's a little less busy.
Oh boy,
the grind. So last week we had a couple of humongous trades.
Yep.
We were all ready to talk about the Russ Westbrook trade and all of that stuff, and then out of nowhere, Kevin Durant got traded to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, which obviously was the headline of that week. So.
Wowzers! Did we make a mess in our trousers? We can keep that, right? That's not.
No, that's fine.
I'm not swearing.
That's fine. No, it's all good.
I did when I saw it. I was like, "What?"
It was, certainly unexpected. You actually broke the news to me mid-podcast just to throw me off.
It was great.
Yeah,
you hadn't seen it. I was like, we might as well get a blind react.
Yeah, so it was an unfiltered reaction. But this week's been kind of the tail end, but there's still been some interesting moves.
Yeah, like I was surprised. I was really ready for a not that impressive deadline. Yeah. Honestly, I was like, look, most teams look pretty good. I don't think that like anyone's going to make big moves. And then Kevin Durant just broke the whole market wide open.
Along with Kyrie as well. So two of the like all-star starters level of players both moved. So pretty crazy.
I love that when KD left, Harden was like, oh yeah, like you could see I'm not crazy. Like they left too. Like things were not good in Brooklyn. Like it wasn't me being spoiled. Like there was a reason why I asked to leave. It wasn't because we were losing.
Yeah.
Like there was
behind the scenes stuff that's clearly impacting it.
There was some behind the scenes things clearly going on in Brooklyn, which is I don't understand it though because like the current team looks like they're having fun.
Well, yeah, that's the thing because now with all the young players that have come in on the other end of these trades, it seemed like they're kind of starting to vibe together already. They're starting to kind of build that like, all right, cool, we haven't got our superstars, we're still going to go out and win games. So
KD, okay, well, I guess we'll talk about Brooklyn Bridges while we're here.
Yep.
He had a humongous game today.
Absolutely monster stats, which is kind of cool because I guess he's been more of like kind of that role player, like it was a consistent starter, but like really defensive, and then he'll get his buckets when he needs to on the Suns. But now it's like, go for it, just flourish, go do your thing.
I honestly, I never put him in that bracket of someone that I think would score. What, he got 45, right?
Yep, 45 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals and 2 blocks. So he's still getting his defensive numbers, but he's like, cool, I'm going to go out and get 45.
Which I guess is a huge testament to like when you're playing on a championship winning team, like you've got like the better teams have people that could do more, but you still have to have that schematic and that game plan, and you know, there's a tier system. True. Booker was ahead, CP3, like you've got to take your percentages.
That's true.
And if Brooklyn, like Bridges' job was to take his certain shots and get them.
Yeah, he was probably taking like 10 a game. He took 24 shots for Brooklyn. So he's obviously a big step up. But he did hit 17 of them, 71% shooting. Damn. So that was an efficient 45 points. So it is, yeah, like you said, it's part of the team schematics. Obviously, Brooklyn don't have the stars who are taking 20, 30 shots. So guys like him can take those numbers, exactly. So it's really awesome to see. I'm liking it.
Look, this team is definitely not as good as it was, losing Kevin Durant and Kyrie.
No, unquestionably no.
But, and like we were talking about like or maybe I was saying that like I think Brooklyn will just drop straight out of the top 10. And now that I'm seeing like sort of what's coming along, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, because I honestly was also in the same boat. Like, okay, let's watch them drop out of the playoffs.
If Bridges gets 45 each game, like
if he can keep it up. But honestly, though, like at least the pieces they got back, like there's potential. There's potential. If Dinwiddie can kind of go back to his like peak Brooklyn days as well, I don't know. There's potential.
Because this team's always had potential.
I mean, Cam Johnson too. I think I haven't talked about him very much, but on the Suns, like he was a really consistent role player. But again, him having more minutes, walking bucket, like. But yeah, between Bridges, Johnson, even like Royce O'Neal being a decent role player, but they still got Joe Harris, like Dorian Finney-Smith defensively. They got a lot of good role players. Honestly, 1 or 2 superstars, and this would be a crazy stacked team, but they're just kind of doing it without that one big piece.
So I guess the only issue with this team now is Ben Simmons.
Yes.
Which was why that... if rumors is to be true, is the reason why KD asked out.
That would be
there was a lot of frustration when KD compared Kyrie to Ben Simmons and how much Kyrie internally was sort of managed and held to certain expectations, and then when Ben Simmons came in, sort of the lack of accountability on Ben's end.
Yeah, that's fair.
And KD was... like, and that's the thing. I think with Ben Simmons, you've got to get to a point where it's like, bro, we're paying you. How much money are we paying you?
Yeah.
When are you going to do something?
And it's not like they haven't given him a chance. Like, they've been very patient, and he's just not... because it's a performance-based industry. Like, he needs to start delivering, so...
I don't know what to do about Ben Simmons. I don't think he can get much lower, and I don't really want to be negative, but at what point is he... He looks like at the moment that he's just showing up and taking his check. Yeah, more or less. Doing the bare minimum, and it looks like he's just doesn't care about basketball, which there's always been questions about Ben's motivations for basketball. It's been
a bit of a question mark there, but honestly, I think it's less of a worry for the Nets now. You think it's like, what? How is this less of a problem? But they've got so much depth now. Like they don't
to trade him though. There's already rumors that they're trying to move him, but like, who's going to take that?
Yeah, at this point, I don't think anyone would take the gamble on it really. But look, I think they've got enough pieces that they don't really necessarily need him now, which is honestly kind of on Simmons now. He's like, he had a chance to contribute to a team with all stars and make them really a deep playoff team, but it hasn't panned out. So
he's looking. It's crazy because like he looked like an absolute fantastic player a couple of years ago. Yeah. And now I saw things on Reddit where people were like, not Korkmaz,
Furkan Korkmaz?
Yeah, who's that that
guy
high
the Sixers.
That really high draft pick that like I think went to who I think he was on the Magic or ended up on the Magic and
Markel Fultz?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, well, he was drafted number 1 to the Magic, and didn't.
People
pan
saying
out.
that I think statistically.
Sixers he was on. He was
then he went to Magic. I think statistically now he's better than Ben Simmons.
Yeah, which honestly, props to him because it's been like a bit of a grind, but he's really starting to come into his own. So I'm happy for him.
If Ben completes this contract, do you think that he'll be like the first, like most people that end up on maxes keep getting big money deals.
Yeah.
I think this is, and I haven't been watching NBA as long. Maybe you might have anything that comes to mind. Do you think this is one of the biggest like max extension players? What I'm trying to say is when he gets to his next contract, he's gonna get a fraction.
Yeah.
No one's gonna give him big money anymore. Not unless things change. If Ben keeps doing exactly what he's doing, Ben Simmons, sorry, not my lovely co-host Ben. But hey, if you were going to get 100 mil,
I'll take it. Yeah.
I'll be your agent. Do you think that because someone will take him for his defensive abilities? I'm certain of it. When his contract ends, I think someone will be stupid enough to take the risk to try and get his defensiveness.
It's really tough. But the difference with Simmons, right, is that most high draft picks, it's pretty quick to determine if they're a flop or not. You get your Anthony Bennett's who like first season you're like, no, this is not panned out.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple will stick around for a season or two, but they're not going to get a max. Like Simmons was a max player, all-star. Like he like proved himself like, okay, this is panned out, and now he's dropped off. It's a weird situation. You haven't had many players in like the history of the game
at this stage,
at that stage to drop off. Like, look, players do drop off. They reach a certain point where they pass their prime, but Simmons was kind of coming into his prime and then boom, gone.
No confidence. Like it's gonna be. If he doesn't get bought out, which honestly I'd almost as a Brooklyn just get rid of him. Honestly, he's dead weight. But have you ever really heard of anyone being like mid prime, first like gone from a rookie to a max extension, where like normally at this stage he'd be lining up his second max extension, and I don't think he'll get even a quarter of the money that he was on at the moment.
Like, I'm really racking my brain. The only type of players, and I guess it is a bit similar to Simmons, are guys that, like, it was an era where we weren't taking as many threes, could get away with no shot. And I'm really trying to think. Maybe like a Josh Smith, like from the Hawks, who was, like, absolutely balling out, but, like, just wasn't consistent. I think he went to, like, the Rockets or something, and then was just gone off the face of the earth. So that's the closest I can think of, like, to a Simmons situation. But like you said, maybe someone will take a chance just because
someone will.
Like, he's still mobile for his height, and I don't know. But honestly, at this point, even what little value he has left, I don't think balances out with all the downside. I'm sorry to say it, but
I think someone will eventually offer him like 5 to 10 mil a year, something like not a huge amount.
Yeah, like maybe someone take him on just a minimum, just to have him as an option in case he pans out. But I can't even see that at this point.
His defensive stats are okay. It just doesn't do anything else.
I mean, he's 6'10" and versatile, but that's about it. That's about it. I'm sorry.
I keep seeing comments on Reddit of people like, when you're in the games and like you see wide open driving paths and he doesn't take it.
Oh, it's crazy to watch. Look,
I'm sad.
Don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for him.
I really want him
to pan out. I'm being a little bit less optimistic now. I just don't think it will.
The more he had that injury last year, he sorted it all out, and we're like, cool, like. He finally got to a new team where they're being everything that was coming out was that they were being supportive.
Yeah, definitely.
And at the beginning of the season, they were slowly he had a very slow start to the season. I was like, cool, they're really letting him build up his confidence. And then he's still taking 2 shots a game.
Yeah.
At what point, I don't get me wrong, I really, really, really want Ben Simmons to succeed. Mm-hmm. I think he is an absolute cheat code playing him at the point guard position. Cheat code.
Yeah.
He's what, like 6'something?
6'10".
6'10" at point guard with handles, can drive to the bucket. If he just...
people comparing him to Magic Johnson early on, so...
He's got good court vision. He knows when to pass. He knows when to do his own thing. Like, I think he's an absolute cheat code. And at the time he got the max, I thought he was worth it. And if he could get back to that, and if he could just... Even at this stage, I'll take no more shooting. I don't care about the shooting, but I need to see that aggressiveness. I need to see him drive. I need to see him do something.
Exactly.
More than 2 shots a game.
Yeah, we're past the point of like he needs a 3-point shot. At this point, he just needs to drive and dunk and just be aggressive and
I'll take that.
It,
and that will be serviceable. I probably wouldn't give him another max extension, but if he could get if he could just do like an easy 15 points a game with like 8 to 10 rebounds and 8 to 10 assists.
Yeah. That's all
I'll take less rebounds. Honestly, I want the 15 points, give or take. I'd prefer it to be closer than 20, but I'll start off low. I want 15 points a game, and I want 6 to 10 assists a game.
Yeah.
That's it. And that would be very serviceable and helpful and amazing. And he has so much potential at what he does, and it's sad to see him struggle.
Yeah. I think just quickly, before we move on from all this debacle with Brooklyn, one point that I did notice as well is that really Claxton's only there, like they're only big at the moment. I like to see this experiment of like a huge lineup that we saw with the Cavs. Can we see like a small ball lineup from Brooklyn maybe working if they have just a lot of wings, a lot of guards? Can we see them maybe being like a Golden State light, just kind of going for buckets?
Maybe.
Could have pan out.
They've got a lot of shoot. Like, that's the thing. Like, they've got a lot of firepower.
Yep. Yeah, between Harris and, Bridges, decent shooter now as well. They still got, Seth Curry even. Patty Mills are getting a little bit older.
I'm surprised they didn't make more, like, if they were going to get rid of Durant, I would have moved a couple more people.
Yeah.
Honestly, but...
Because it's a bit of a lopsided roster, I think, is the thing I noticed. But I think it could still pan out. They're still... I'm not going to expect them to drop as much as I thought before.
No,
I think they can hang in there.
I think a play-in spot is definitely possible.
Yeah, I'd say so. The East at the moment, there are a lot of teams that are a bit questionable.
They're still in fifth.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is they're still in fifth, so there's definitely possibilities.
It's true.
Let's talk about these last couple of trades that snuck in near the end, which I wasn't, like I was saying, I wasn't really expecting a lot from this trade deadline, and then all sorts of things just... Kevin Durant went off, and then everyone was like, warning, the West. KD is coming back to the West.
And then just spiraled after that, yeah.
So, a lot happened. This one's not a huge one, but I just think it's interesting that the Clippers decided to get rid of half of their bench. So this might be the first move that the Clippers have made, but the Clippers are just out of nowhere. I thought they were pretty decent, and it really... The only thing that like the Clippers really needed was Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to be healthy. That was pretty much like, I think they've got a good team with good depth, but out of nowhere they were like, hey, we'll give you Reggie Jackson and a 2028 second round pick for Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, and it's a weird one. I think just like roster fit, because both of them are good players, but roster fit, it's a bit of a question mark for me.
I guess, do the Clips need a center?
Yeah, I think
a little bit.
The Clippers do. So that, okay, fair enough. But for the Hornets, I don't know. I don't know if I get this move, because they're already a bit guard heavy. They've got just a lot more potential there. And the biggest question mark for them has always been centers. They need a good big. And I don't know. I feel like Plumlee was kind of holding the center position down for them in the meantime. And they, I don't know, traded away another big. So, bit of a question mark for me.
Look, the Hornets are just terrible. I think I was reading an article today. Do you think that LaMelo Ball might be the first rookie to decline his rookie extension and test free agency?
Ooh, I wouldn't blame him, honestly.
Because he's looking frustrated, and that team has gotten worse since he's joined, not better.
They haven't looked at. They've had a few unlucky situations with some of their players, but they haven't done themselves any favors in terms of making good moves. And I don't think adding yet another point guard is going to help LaMelo really get this team anywhere. So.
No, and that guy is really talented.
Yeah, because obviously you've already got like Scary Terry on the team. They've got Dennis Smith Jr. because he kind of dipped a bit, but now he's doing all right on their team. They just have too many guards already. I don't understand this move really.
I don't understand what the Hornets are doing. Like, are they back in tank mode? Like, what are they?
Yeah. It's a bit of a question mark, but nevertheless, it's a move that occurred.
Michael Jordan, great player. Terrible owner.
I mean, he's not making many of the calls as an owner. He's not the GM necessarily, but
he picks who the GM is.
Yeah, I suppose.
How many years of the Hornets making bad decisions does that person need to make before Michael? I keep trying to say Michael Jackson in my head. No, it's Michael Jordan.
The other MJ, yeah. But yeah, it's a bit of a question mark for the Hornets.
Hornets are terrible, and I really want to see LaMelo go somewhere better. Which you mentioned today before we started. Let's move into the Golden State Warriors trade.
Yeah,
LaMelo could have been a Golden State Warrior.
Yes. Interesting to look back on now is that the Pistons ended up with James Wiseman in a 4-team trade, mind you. The Warriors received Gary Payton II and 3 potential second-round picks. Hawks get Sadiq Bey. Trailblazers get Kevin Knox and 5 second-round picks. But there's been some controversy in this move.
Controversy.
Yes. Because when Gary Payton did his medical with the Warriors, it turned out that he's been probably playing injured for quite some time now and didn't actually clear the medical initially.
Playing with discomfort.
Yeah. I think he was taking stuff to play through it. So
being pressured by the Trailblazers medical team to play.
Yeah, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, well, well, that wasn't given, Golden State were not given advance notice, and then now they've got a guy which I think they're going to keep anyway. Yeah, because they still want him back. But they're going to keep him. It's going to keep him out for like a month or two.
Yeah, but not what they initially thought they were in for. So.
No. So now that James Wiseman has been traded away from the Warriors, and the Warriors, a big shout out to Warriors, they've been, in my opinion, they've been really, really patient with James Wiseman. With his trade, does that make James Wiseman a bust?
It's hard to say bust, but it kind of is. It's not what it panned out to be. Because, like I mentioned before, that pick could have been LaMelo Ball, which at this point I think we'd all agree is a successful pick. Yeah. He was already named an All-Star. Look, they did give him time. The only thing is they needed a big. They didn't really need more guards. That's the only reason.
Look, in theory, right, they made the right pick. They needed a big. Yeah. They picked they picked the best big available. Yeah. But now they've traded him away. He hasn't delivered.
They pretty much got nothing back other than a player they had the last season. So, yeah. So many players going back to the teams they were previously on. Yeah. A lot of homecomings.
And look, I want to shout out that I really respect the Warriors. They really gave it everything they could to try and make this work out. Yep. But James Wiseman just isn't good enough.
No. I think early on, I might be misquoting here, but I think early on the trade talks were that they were going to be getting Saddiq Bey in this trade. I don't know if I'm entirely right here, but I feel like that kind of move would be a bit smarter for the Warriors. I don't know. Like they thought Gary Payton was healthy, but I think the Hawks honestly are a bit of a winner in this because Saddiq Bey is turning out to be quite a good player. I'm surprised the Pistons are moving him and effectively losing him to get Wiseman. I'm not sure on this move either.
Pistons love to take on a project and
especially bigs,
make them good and then have them go.
Yeah, that's true. We have a lot of players that started on their career early on, not much potential, turned out to be a great player. I think like KCP, even Dinwiddie, some of these guys started off on the Pistons and then turned out pretty good. So maybe they can turn Wiseman around.
Like for me, it yells out that Golden State are treading water and they need help desperately.
Yeah. That is true.
Because Curry is still out. And I think Curry's still out for a little while. Because imagine right now, oh my God, imagine if Curry's out, you had LaMelo Ball instead of Curry. Like,
scary guard-based team.
I think in today's NBA, yes, the correct move was to go for a center. Yeah. That was probably the better move.
That's
but
where
in
they
hindsight,
needed to pick up,
it's like, imagine if LaMelo was, then you could just get a discount big. 3-point shooting's better than
value,
3-point shooting I think is better than big value to some extent. Like with the right game plan you could.
Yeah,
I mean the Warriors have been playing around that.
True. I think just unless you land yourself like a Jokic or like an Embiid, because valuable bigs are a hot commodity. They're very hard to come by. So if Wiseman turned out to be a big that actually had a shot and was versatile, then look, I understand at the time it was probably the right call. But kind of crazy to think what it could have been.
Absolutely. So 76ers make a couple of last minute moves as well. Getting Jalen McDaniels. Hornets get I'm not even
Svi Mykhailiuk, I think it is.
That is
I'm pretty sure it's Ukrainian, I think. Yeah.
That is a mouthful for me. I am not smart enough to read that. And they get a couple of picks, and then Trailblazers get actually not a bad haul in Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, and Ryan
Arcidiacono.
Heck yeah. Ben's my pronunciation expert. And the Knicks got Josh Hart.
Yep. I actually think this is an interesting trade. So first of all, Jalen McDaniels, promising wing player. I think the Sixers will benefit from that.
The Sixers need.
Yeah,
wings.
Exactly. More diverse wings. I think that's good. Hornets, they get a decent shooter. I'm fine with that.
Another shooter?
It doesn't move the needle much, but at least he can kind of play wing. Like he's not just a point guard. They have too many point guards. Again, another questionable Hornets move. Let's move on from there. Trailblazers, I think that's fine. They've got honestly some good picks.
Reddish is pretty good.
Yeah, people obviously critique Matisse's game a little bit, but defensively very sound. Cam Reddish has been moved around a fair bit now, so there are a couple question marks in terms of him. But we'll see.
Knicks get Josh Hart. Maybe we did talk about this one last week.
Yeah, I think we mentioned. I don't know if it was locked in exactly who got what though.
Yeah.
And now it has been confirmed. And I think the Knicks getting Josh Hart, first of all, a bit heartbreaking because I think he got the news when he was doing his shoot around before the game, and Dame Lillard was like just consoling because they were actually pretty close in the short time that they were together. But yeah, he got moved from the Pelicans to the Trailblazers, and now he's moved again. So very disruptive for him. But good pickup for the Knicks, who, quickly just touching on them, are actually kind of being consistent now. They're sitting in 6th, but they're above 500 by a decent amount. They're kind of hanging in there. Brunson balling out. Like, they're all playing pretty well. So props to them, because I have been a little critical of them, I think, in the past.
They're on a 6-4. Like, they're on a 3-game win streak.
Yeah. So I think he's just another good piece.
Come on, Knicks. Don't make me look silly by all the time. Come on, Knicks. You can't now just decide to be good.
I mean, I think it's a happy accident because, the Knicks have gone through a lot as a fan base. So, I'm happy to see what happens with Josh Hart adding to that team. So,
yeah. I've got a question. Would you rather have Eric Gordon or Luke Kennard?
I'd go with Kennard personally because I think he's been doing good things, was doing good things on the Clippers.
I thought Kennard was better than Gordon as well, which is why I'm very confused about this trade where the Clippers get Eric Gordon and some second rounders, Rockets get John Wall, Danny Green, and a protected pick swap, and the Grizzlies get Luke Kennard.
I think it's kind of a win all round because obviously Grizzlies looking like an absolute champion competitor, adding some depth at the wing. I think that's good. Honestly, please play him over Dylan Brooks. I'm sick of that guy. But yeah, no, good shooter, good wing.
But why
happy
would
with
you
the
give
Grizzlies.
that up for Eric Gordon?
But that's the thing. Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, it seems like the Clippers are kind of just blowing up their bench for some reason. Again, another homecoming. Eric Gordon used to be on the Clippers. It's kind of crazy how many guys are going back to their old teams. I just don't know if that's the move. I mean, look, maybe Eric Gordon was just sick of being the tank commander at the Rockets or something.
Well, I think that Rockets were trying to get him out, to a contender. But I just don't know why the Clippers make this move.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he can still be a decent role player, decent shooter and stuff like that, then maybe.
Maybe Eric Gordon's defense is a little bit better than Luke Kennard's. Maybe.
Yeah, I think both not great defensive players, if I'm quite honest. But
yeah,
I think this could be one of those moves that's more in the interest of the players and the teams, really.
And then Rockets get John Wall and Danny Green, who they're going to waive.
How many players are they waive? And again, another homecoming with John Wall going back to the Rockets.
Not a happy homecoming.
But not a happy homecoming, no. After refusing to play for, was it 1 or 2 seasons? I can't remember now. It was an extended time. He comes back, and then they're like, we're not having any of this nonsense, and then waive him.
Yep. Which there is if John Wall and Danny Green do get waived, they're out on the waivers. I'd be interested to see. Maybe I'm probably more interested in Danny Green than John Wall. I don't know how well Danny Green looks since his injury though. Yeah,
it's tough because these are two guys that are getting a little older now. I think I was kind of a little bit optimistic with Wall. I was saying he was doing all right, but he wasn't moving the needle a ton.
Which is why he got traded.
Yeah, but I can see teams picking these guys up just for a little bit of depth. But that's about it. I don't know where they're going to end up, to be honest.
Well, also, which is kind of crazy, the Clippers gave up John Wall and Luke Kennard to get Eric Gordon back.
And picks. But they're second rounders, so
is John Wall that bad that they had to give up Luke Kennard just to get rid of John Wall?
Maybe. It's tough because honestly, people were kind of hype on that. Again, before the season, Clippers were going to be the number 1 odds for the championship. Maybe people thought that Wall was going to make a difference, but obviously he didn't make enough of an impact. So, yeah, I'm just surprised how much bench they're blowing up when they really can't afford it.
Curious. We'll have to see if they can stay healthy, maybe, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
While we're mentioning the Grizzlies very quickly, they're currently in second. They're 5 games behind. Things have... Well, the Nuggets have sort of shot off, and then the rest of the West are still reasonably close together.
It's a fight for second place, pretty much. The Nuggets have asserted their first position. Like
a 4 or 5 game lose streak for pretty much anyone in the top 10 will either let the people catch up the Nuggets or will move you up and down a couple of places. So it is spreading out a tiny bit. We are getting a little bit of, I'd say the Grizzlies at this stage with a 3-game buffer between them and the Kings are probably looking pretty good as long as they maintain this.
Yeah.
And they've gone 4 and 6 this last 10.
They haven't been super consistent the last few games now.
I was watching a clip of them with one of the talk show hosts, and and I remember last year when they were like in the playoffs and like doing really well, and they were this young team that was like, you know, snippy but not too over the top, and was like really hustling hard, and you know, was really bringing it to these other more established teams, and the world loved them. Yeah. Right? Like everyone
loves an underdog.
Everyone wanted the Grizzlies to win.
Yeah.
And I've realized that this year, like, the stark contrast, people, like, in my books, like, the Grizzlies are still the underdogs. Like, they're still a young team. They've still got a lot to prove. They still really haven't been consistent and made it. But everyone hates them now. Their attitude has completely rubbed everyone the wrong way. Have you ever seen a team, because I asked you this, Ben, because you've been watching NBA longer than I have. Have you ever seen a team, like, have you ever seen a team where people have flipped on them that fast? Where their attitude has just, they've taken it up a step, and it's a step in the wrong direction. Honestly, yeah. I have gone from really enjoying this Memphis Grizzlies team. And look, Ja is still talented, but I don't want them to win anymore. I want to see these guys lose. I want to see other teams beat this team. Give me your thoughts, Ben. Yeah. As someone that, as of this time, the Grizzlies are in like your top 3, potentially top 1 team at the moment.
No, I will say I'm a Grizzlies supporter. Well, first of all, I agree with that. I think last season they were the young underdogs, people rooting for them, but I think it's worn off. I think that, they're now at that point now where they're kind of like an annoying little kid. They're past the like underdog story. They're at that point now where it's like, just stop talking. So I'd agree with that. In terms of like how quickly it's turned around, man, I don't know. I mean, I feel like people tend to hate a little bit on the success. So they're still underdogs, but the fact that now they are doing well, it's kind of like a little bit, the closest I can think of is maybe the Warriors, because the Warriors hadn't won in so many years. It'd be like a 50-year drought or whatever. People are like, wow, this new exciting, fast-paced play style. And then when they start winning, it's like, all right, like everyone starts hating them now.
But, sorry, I just want to interject, but like, I'm okay with the Warriors being a bit cocky. They've won like three championships.
They can back it up at least, yeah.
the Grizzlies, as far as I'm concerned, haven't done anything.
That's true. It's hard to talk trash when you haven't actually got the backup behind it. So, because look, they've got a good record, but they haven't really progressed. They at least make a finals. If they make a finals, I think then they can start talking a bit more. But yeah, until they've got some hardware, until they got a ring, it's just going to be annoying. And I can understand, even as a Grizzlies fan, I can understand people are sick of their chirpiness, because it is a little over the top at times. I'm getting a little bit sick of it too.
It's just hard to cheer for them.
Yeah. I think I'm still rooting for them just in terms of an organization, because I do like the way they've restructured it. They haven't kind of sold out, just got a big star shipped in. I think they've kind of been grassroots, built from the ground up. And part of it's also just because I've rooted for them with their previous iterations of their team back in the day. So by default, I'm still going for them. But yeah, I think it is a little bit past like the endearing phase of them being like this scrappy young team. It's getting to the point where they've got a reputation.
It's a bad reputation. Yep. But like, and you said that like people are, I don't even think it's jealousy that they're doing well. People want this team to do well. I just think they're going about it the wrong way.
Perhaps. But I mean, look, you can't argue with the results at the moment, at least. It seems to, whatever they're doing, it's working. Maybe they're getting under other teams' skin. But I think come to playoff time, it could be to the detriment of the team. We'll see.
I hope the Warriors beat the Grizzlies.
I'm still rooting for the Grizzlies. I'm also rooting for the Kings. I feel like I'm turning into a Kings fan this season. They're still in third. How early on were we saying watch them drop?
Oh, no.
I think I was rooting for them most of the season.
Did we put something on this? We did, didn't we?
I got to check the board.
I think we put a cinnamon challenge on this, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did a top 6. If they make top 6, I'd do a cinnamon challenge, and if they didn't, you would. Because I said to put your money where your mouth is.
I think we did, and I think it's going to pan out in my favor.
Gosh, I hope I don't lose any more of these. They're starting to stack up. We have a couple of these going on.
By the end of the season, we're just going to be covered in like cinnamon and hot sauce, and it's just going to be a mess.
It's going to be terrible.
Opinions.
Look, I don't like the Kings, but I'd rather you go for the Kings than the Grizzlies. That's how much I don't like the Grizzlies right now.
Damn. But this is why it makes things interesting for the league. I think you need villains. You need villains as much as you need hero stories. I think it keeps it engaging.
But I guess I also look at the other side of that, where like the NBA like is influencing all these kids, and there's a part of that where like I wish that some of the NBA teams were a little bit less chirpy to the refs and a little bit more aware of like people emulate what they do.
Yeah, fair. I guess that's fair. But it's not like these guys are like doing really dodgy stuff off court like people did over the years.
No.
They are at least mostly keeping it on court. But look, yeah, it is maybe perceived the wrong way sometimes.
But it's, look, I'll put it this way, right? You know Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. I like to, look, they shouldn't be a one-stop shop, but they have some level of entertainment value. Last year, Skip Bayless would have married Jar. If you had said like, "Hey, Jar's down," like Skip would have been there like, "I love you." The amount of good things that Skip Bayless was saying about Jar, and that this year's completely changed. And I think that for me just sort of shows like that the Grizzlies are just not going about things the right way. There's like competitive trash talking like the Golden State Warriors, and the Golden State Warriors do overdo it at times.
I think
but they do reel themselves back.
Yeah, but I think they just get away with a lot as well. I think they get away with a lot.
A little bit. It's just like I guess from my perspective, right? And this is coming from someone that is more and more disappointed in the Golden State Warriors the more that I pay attention to them. But they will have like one big game where they get mad and it's entertaining, and you know a couple of them will get ejected and you're like, yeah, you know, they deserve it, blah 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 blah, and then they'll like behave themselves for the next week, and then they'll do it again, and it's not always like they're not always in your I guess it also helps that they're not winning all the time, but maybe it's a little bit of the win. But like, you know, like Golden State Warriors go up and down with like how much they talk and like their expectations, whereas I just feel like the Grizzlies are just always.
I feel like we should look at maybe like the statistics in terms of like techs and ejections and things like that. I think that'd be interesting to actually compare, because I think their reputation makes it seem like they're worse than they are.
Or we have to do like techs, ejections, and foul calls.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to compare. Maybe that's something we can deep
write
dive
that down.
into.
We can do that next week. I'm curious. Then what else have we got in trades? I don't think there's really Josh Richardson for Devontae Graham. Yeah. Pelicans trading Water.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of makes sense for the Pelicans. I think Devontae probably... We saw him having a much bigger role on like the Hornets and stuff previously, and even previously on the Pelicans. I think now that he's not having as big a role, I think it makes sense for them probably, once they brought CJ in especially. So I don't mind this move. I don't mind this. The Spurs do get a lot of picks from this too. So I think...
They like picks.
Yeah, I think it's good for the Spurs rebuilding, and the Pelicans get a decent wing. I think it's fair.
Nice.
That's a fair trade.
What do you think about the Suns getting Darius Baisley and giving away Dario Saric?
I think it's fine. Yeah, I mean, obviously not huge players. Baisley adding a bit of size. Saric, because Saric is a bit more of like a... I was going to say Porzingis, but that's not the right comparison. Like, I guess more of a shooting big, whereas Baisley's a little bit more athletic.
Well, Dario's more of like a shooting power forward, right?
Yeah, pretty much like he's a stretch four. Stretch four. Baisley's a little bit less of a shooter. He can still hit shots. But yeah, it's a bit of a medium kind of move. I think the Suns just maybe adjusting their roster after the big trades.
They don't really need him anymore. They've got probably KD playing in that power forward, small forward position, probably power forward.
Yeah.
But also, he hurt himself in the finals. Did he ever really... Like, I haven't really...
Well, that's the thing too, because when the Suns were in the playoffs, they were missing Saric for a while. So maybe didn't come back the same, perhaps.
But yeah, he injured himself pretty bad. I don't know if he's fine or not.
Yeah, but obviously the Thunder also pick up a second round pick and some cash, and at this point they're just getting all the picks they can get. So rebuilding for them. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a neutral move. I just kind of shoring up any weaknesses in their roster. With
Kevin Durant coming, like they don't need him. Yeah, they don't need Dario as much, which is a shame. Because I think Dario would be fun.
Yeah,
but it's just I don't think he's been doing much.
Yeah,
he hasn't really been in the rotation. And now that you've got Kevin Durant, like you don't really the Durantula.
Yeah,
I love it. You put a couple of screenshots in. We've already talked a bit about Mikal Bridges, but why don't you read out that one about Zion and missed games?
Yeah, it's an interesting stat because I think we definitely have like a bit of a preconceived idea in terms of like people being missing games. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Anthony Davis. People call him Street Clothes Davis, things like that, because he's missing a ton of games. But just for some comparison over the last 4 seasons, in terms of percentage of possible games played, so starting off with Zion, he's played 39% of his possible games.
The last 4 years.
We obviously know he's been missing a lot, but it's kind of crazy. He's less than 40%. Other players, notably, Durant has only played 48% of his possible games as a net. Kawhi only played 52% of his possible games. Kyrie only 52%, obviously kind of given with all of his situations. Anthony Davis has actually played 62.9% of his possible games. So look, he's missed a lot of time, but he's been a bit more consistent than I think we maybe give him credit for.
He has the street name.
Obviously other factors with like Kyrie and things like that. But yeah, kind of crazy to see how much time some of these other big players have missed.
Kawhi's honestly played more than I thought.
Yeah. I feel like I never see the guy. So yeah, I think, well, part of it...
Look, there's one answer to this question and one answer only. There's only one reason why Anthony Davis has the nickname Street Clothes and the other ones don't, and it's because Anthony Davis is in Los Angeles. Yeah. And in Los Angeles, people notice what you do.
That's actually very true. That is so true.
In the Pelicans, no one really, like, comparative to the other markets, doesn't really matter. Kawhi and Clippers, they're kind of like the LA Lakers lights. They don't. That's the thing. Like Clippers get a lot of attention, but they don't get as much attention as the Lakers.
It's true. Yeah.
There's two teams in LA for a reason, but the Lakers definitely get more of the scrutiny.
Yep, that's accurate.
And it's the same thing with Kevin Durant. Just to be fair, the poor dude went through like a proper ACL tear.
He had major injuries. Whereas Anthony Davis is more like every second game he's going down clutching something. So like it's more that he looks like he's made of glass and just little things here and there. He hasn't been out a long time with one big injury.
He's always like in and out, in and out. And I think that's why it's like, oh, he's in street clothes again.
Yeah. Whereas like KD was just out for a huge chunk from one injury. So, yeah.
And similar thing with Zion. Zion just had injury after.
Yeah, kind of multiple big ones.
Never came back.
That's true.
Which he's now getting evaluated after All-Star breaks. He was supposed to get evaluated before All-Star break, and then I think he either
re-injured something in training, which is a shame because we were very excited for him to come back. So
I want Zion, please.
Yeah, bit of a shame.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, where like this is what happens when you play in LA.
Yeah, people pay so much more scrutiny.
People pay attention.
Yeah,
and you don't get away with in LA what you get away elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and we try and keep pretty broad outlook. We talk about a lot of different teams, but there's just so much news with LA. There's so much drama, so they always are in the spotlight. LA. So that's true.
My favorite thing to do.
That's very true.
I can't wait for the Lakers to not make the first round.
Speaking of LA, really quickly, only because they did make an interesting trade. D'Angelo Russell seems to be fitting in quite well with the team.
Yeah, he got 25 points.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I still don't think the Lakers are going to even be close to the playoffs, but good on them for at least making one decent move.
They're like 12th or 13th at the moment. What are they, 13th?
Yeah, 13th currently. So
Jazz are finally out of the top 10.
Yep. I mean, they've kind of been borderline playing. I mean, respect. I think they're outperforming what we'd expect of them. But I think they're in a closer position to what they should be. OKC now in 10th. Man, these last couple playing spots are going to be very interesting.
When's OKC going to like pull the trigger and like actually like go? Are they going to wait? I guess this year they're waiting for Chet to get better, so it's probably a next year thing.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll actually like try to be good next year?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question because they've been one of the most notorious just pick hoarding team. Like they've been rebuilding for the longest time. Yeah, I think Chet is a big factor. I think they would have probably been going a bit more for it if he was healthy this season. I think next season probably. I think they have to pull the trigger at some point. If they get a good player, if they get like a Scoot it depends. They're actually not really doing that badly.
They need a bit more tanking.
Yeah, they need to tank a bit harder. But yeah, I think if they get one other big piece, maybe a couple good role players, yeah, I think surely they're pulling the trigger.
Because the thing is, if they pull the trigger, they still have to, like, Chet's hasn't played this year, so you still need to give him like a year or two minimum before you'll get better work ethic, like better everything out of him.
I mean, like SGA's an all-star at this point.
Yeah, like SGA's ready, but the rest of the team isn't.
Yeah, that's a good point. So maybe it will be a bit more of a longer rebuild for a couple more seasons.
I don't know. I feel like the NBA should have a limit on how many picks you can hoard, just to stop. Like OKC have just had an
I'm trying to remember because there are rules on it. I can't remember exactly, but they've pretty much maxed out how many picks they can get, more or less. So
when they're aggressive, because like there'll be a lot of teams in the next 5 to 10 years that will be like, we need picks, and so then and then OKC will rock up and be like, hey, we want this player, we'll give you 4 picks.
I mean, but that's the thing too, yeah, because they don't have to cash in all these picks. They can trade these picks away for pieces and start to really rebuild. So
when they're ready to go off,
they
may even have to give away that many assets. They could just trade picks, or they could give away the crappy players and then get, here, we'll give you this crappy player with 3 picks and get a good player.
It's true. But I mean, look, honestly, if Chet comes back and like starts to actually develop quite well, I think they're close. Because shout out to Josh Giddey, fellow Aussie.
Yeah, he's playing well.
He's been playing really well. He's like a walking almost triple-double.
Yeah.
So I think they're getting there. They're getting there.
With SGA, Chet, we have to see if Chet can actually make it through a season. Yeah. He's very skinny.
It's true. I think it's going to be one of those players that you watch carefully in terms of injuries. But
we'll have to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm still really excited. I can't wait for playoffs.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how fast this season has gone. We're almost at All-Star break, but we're almost on the home stretch. We're counting down the days till playoffs, so it's going to be exciting because at this point, I still have no clue who's going to make playoffs, which I love. I love it to be interesting.
And just a random side note, I'm pretty sure F1's back like next month.
Ooh, that's exciting. We're spoiled as sport fans, really.
Yeah,
in terms of like,
this is the only thing. These are the only 2 things I care about: F1 and NBA. So I'm getting really hyped for that. So thanks for listening. Please give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends. Shout out to the homies and my mom and my girlfriend that listen to this podcast. And we'll be here next time.
Stay tuned.